it's actually a live coding session. So what I'm going to do today is to talk very quickly, very briefly about my company, Clevy, about the CSML, the product that and the language that we developed. And afterwards, I'm going to start coding, to really code live, and hopefully there won't be any bugs and everything will work out. If you have any questions, please ask away. While I'm coding, I will try to answer the questions which are relevant to what I'm doing. I will answer them later. All right, let's start. So let me share my screen. Okay, perfect. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to quickly present what we do at Clevy. All right, so Clevy, we are a French company based in Paris, founded by 3 people. Salim, who's from a business school, and 2 42 alumni, François, F. Séché, his login is, and myself. I'm not going to really get into what we do as a company, but basically we sell chatbots to large companies, and our chatbots are very specific because they only aim at answering to internal questions. And our clients are companies like Danone, like Capgemini, like SNCF, the French railway company, or other companies or organizations like the Ministry of Armies. Today I'm going to talk to you about the CSML. So why am I going to talk to you about the CSML? Well, it's because there is a prize attached to the best CSML project, and today I'm going to code in CSML. Before coding, I'm just going to talk to you quickly about CSML and about what it does. I guess that most of you have already checked out on the internet what we do and what CSML does. CSML means Conversation Standard Meta Language, and it's a programming language dedicated to building chatbots. And actually not even chatbots, also voice bots or call bots or any sort of bots that has a conversation or a sort of conversation with the user. And we actually use the CSML for our products, for the products that we sell. So the CSML is free to use, or it's at least freemium. So unless you're a company and you have a heavy use of it, like some of our clients, it's completely free. And we use the CSML for our project that we sell to our clients, but also for projects that are publicly available, like a chatbot that we've developed a few weeks ago, which is covidbot.fr, and I will send you the URL. It's a public chatbot. You can access it and you can talk to it, and it has been coded in CSML. CSML handles several things very well. First, it handles different types of messages, and obviously that's limited by the communication channels that we connect to. It orchestrates conversations, meaning that it will send the right message at the right time. It can integrate APIs or any other service for that matter. We got some embedded memory service into the language. And also, it can understand, we can actually plug ourselves to the NLP, to NLP services. And the features, as I just talked about, the CSML is open source. It's a cloud-based product, but we can also we also have an offline version because it's obviously open source. It's compatible with any languages, so we can actually inject into CSML either JavaScript, Python, or any other programming language like that, and I'm going to show you how it's done. It handles user context, memorize conversation, and so on. And to use the CSML, we developed a CSML Studio that helps you build CSML chatbots and deploy them at scale. All right, now let's code. So, so how am I going to do this? I'm going to. So what you can all do now is go to this address here. So studio.csml.dev. That I'm going to link in the chat. And you can create your account. There is no credit card needed or anything like that. It's really free to. It's a real free product. So you just sign up and everything is free. And you can also sign up in the. You can also join our Slack. So I'm just going to let you all sign up or connect to the accounts that you already signed up with. So I'm going to connect with my account. Once you're on the screen, you can create a new bot. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to create a new bot. And don't worry if I'm going too quick. You'll be able to watch the video afterwards on YouTube or whatever. So first, we're going to give it a name. So that's going to be hackathon live coding session. And we're going to submit. And this is going to create a chatbot for us. I'm just going to put this screen on the right so I can see your questions. Okay. And I'm going to do this. Right. So this is the main CSML Studio view. It's an editor where there are two parts. On the left, there is the editor where you can write code, and on the right will be the output of your code. So what the user will see eventually. So here we have a very simple code, and the chatbot will basically just follow the steps. So it will start by saying hello, and then it will end the conversation. So if we click on build and run, our service will check that this is CSML valid code. It will compile it, version it. You can see the version down there, and it will run it, and it says hello. Okay, so what we are going to do today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to code the chatbots that allow people to sign up for a hackathon. I thought it was interesting because you all signed up through the same form, and it's a form. So I thought it would be interesting to do it the chatbot way. So how are we going to transform a form into a chatbot, and what value can the chatbot add to the form? So for this, we are going to, so what we need is gather informations. We need the chatbot to remember those informations. And afterwards, we will send those information to Airtable. So I've created a table on Airtable. If you guys don't know Airtable, it's actually what the 42 entrepreneur used for signing up to the hackathon. And I don't think I'm breaking any secrets here by saying that, because the page you signed up on was generated by Airtable. So what we are going to do is create a chatbot that connects to Airtable and send data to Airtable. Right, so I'm going to do it my way. So first off, we're going to say hello to the person we are talking to. So we are going to say hello. I'm here to help you sign up for the very cool hackathon. Back to the living room. Okay, and then we're going to add some sort of GIF like that one. Okay, and then we are going to ask the user if he's from 42 or if he's an outsider. So we are going to go to a second step. So a step is a bit of conversation. It's a piece of conversation. The interesting thing about steps is that we can actually go back to the steps later. So I'm going to say is 42. So I'm going to create a step is 42. And in this step, I'm going to ask a question to the user. So I'm going to say question. And I'm going to say, are you a 42 student, alumni, or an outsider, or extern? I don't know, I think it's extern, the right term. Okay. And afterwards, we will probably need some buttons because we want only three available choices. So the question built-in allows several parameters. The first parameter is a question. The second parameter would be the buttons. So we go buttons, and buttons accepts an array of components, of button components. So if we say button, and then we can say 42 students. And we can say also it's a list, so we have to put a comma, 42 alumni. Okay. So here we created a question. So the chatbot will ask the question, we show those buttons, and then we want the chatbot to wait for the user input. So we want the chatbot to hold. So we're just going to write hold. And the chatbot here will wait for the user input. So let's just check this out first. So what happens if we want to check what the person wrote? So we are going to say, and the user input will be saved in a variable called events. Notice that to be able to write a variable into a string, we use double braces. Okay, so let's do that first. Build and run. If you have any questions so far, do not hesitate to ask them. So build and run. So are you a 42 student, alumni, or extern? And I'm a 42 student. And say events, we'll say 42 students. And we could also say you are, say this. The chatbot would say you are 42 students. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit faster now. So here, now we want the chatbot to do several things. We want the chatbot to either ask on which campus the person is from, if he's a student or an alumni, or if he's an extern, we want to go to the next step. So if he's a 42 student or alumni, so we're going to say if events. And here we want to be able to understand 42 students, to understand the click, but we also want to understand somebody who just writes students like this. Okay? To be able to do that, we have something called accepts. And they are second parameters to buttons. So if we write accepts equal and accepts accepts an array, a list of strings. So we can say students. Hang on. So I see the option create funbot, GitHub. Which one are you using? I'm actually I'm actually creating a chatbot from scratch here. So it's created from scratch, but you can create either funbot or GitHub bots or import a chatbot from GitHub, and that will actually build a chatbot ready to use for you. Here I'm really starting from scratch. So I'm actually selecting just a blank chatbot. Yes, there are plenty of resources, and if you go to docs.csml.dev, sorry, there are a bunch of stuff, and there are also getting started tutorials. So I'm going to go back to my to what I'm doing, and I will answer your questions in a few minutes. So if the events, so we want this event we want to check if the event matches this button. Okay, so we want to so we are going to say students or duo quadra, which is the name of the students at 42, and to be able to say this button is actually a variable, we can say buttons 42 students as, for example, btn1, and we can do the same for that one, btn2 as btn3. And here we can say this accepts other things, like just somebody would say alumni, okay, and this accepts other strings, like somebody who would say outsider or not 42. Okay, and here we say, and here we have a keyword that will check if the user inputs, if the event matches one of the button we are referring to. So if we say event match btn1, this will return true if the user either clicked on this button or wrote down students or duo quadra. Okay. And we can say else if event match btn2 and btn3. And if it doesn't match anything, because somebody just wrote down gibberish as inputs, we'll do something else. So in the case it matched btn1, we'll just say well done for joining 32. And we remember, and that's a keyword that we'll actually say to the chatbot, remember this information. Remember that is from is equal to students. Okay. If the person is an alumni, we'll say we're done for finishing 42. And if the student is an outsider, an extern, we will say extern here. Okay. And we'll say other scholars are cool too. Okay. And if it's something else, we'll just assume that the person is not from 42. Okay, so we'll just say okay. Okay. And here we want to check, afterwards we want to check the campus. Okay, so we are going to create a step campus, and we will send the user to the step campus if they are from 42. the state and the campus will say what's your campus. And here we'll expect the user to either say, I don't know, like Moscow or Paris or Helsinki. And we'll wait for the user to answer. And we will remember user inputs as a variable. So campus, user campus equal events. Right, so here we checked where the person is from. We saved, here we saved where it's from. And then if he's a 42, either student or alumni, we want to check which campus is from. And afterwards, once we've done that, we want to get his email address. So we create a step email. We will send the people who said which campus they are from to the step email. And we also send the people who are not from 42 to the step email. So those people who actually clicked on extern, we remember that they are extern, and we send them to the straight to the email step. And in the email step, we are going to say what's your email address. Okay. And then we are going to hold again. So the chatbot will need to wait again for the user input. And here we will want to check if the email address is valid. So there are several ways to do that. One of the ways to use regex. I'm not going to do that because it will probably scare the new, the people who actually didn't encounter regex yet. So something else. I'm just going to use a function which is called find. Okay, on string actually, or contains. Actually, contains make more sense. And I will actually so you can either check if a string contains a regex. Okay, so this is a string. We want to check if it contains this regex, or you can just check a character. So we'll just check one character. Okay. So we are just going to copy that. And we are going to say if event contains arrows. Okay. Okay, so if it's true, actually we're going to do the other way. If it's not true, so if it doesn't contain any ats, we'll say this is not a valid email address. And we will send back the user to the same step. Okay. And if it's a valid email address, we remember user email equal to events. So let's just run the chatbot at this point. And after that, I'm just going to say the different. I'm going to say the different thing that we got the chatbot to remember. So is from, user campus, and user email. Is from user campus and user email. Let's run that. Okay. So here, are you a 42 students, alumni, or extern? Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm an alumni. Okay, so it actually returns true here. It says, well done for finishing 42, and it returns true because alumni is within the accept array. Then what's your campus? My campus is Paris. Okay. So here it goes to the step campus. Down there, it says, what's your campus? I'm going to say Paris. It's going to remember Paris as being the variable user campus. What's your email address? And I'm going to say Bastien.Clevy.io. Okay, so rightfully it says that it's not valid. So Bastien.Clevy.io. Okay, and here you can see that the chatbot remembered this. The interesting thing about that is that if you actually refresh your browser, okay, so I'm going to copy those 3 lines and move them up there. Okay. And what's interesting here is that I'm going to refresh my page. So let's say I'm going back to the chatbot like 2 months later, and I click and I talk to the chatbot. The chatbot will still remember what I said to him, and it will still remember. You see those 3 lines here? They are those ones. So one thing we could do is say if we already have the user email, that means that the user has already answered to those questions and has gone this far. Actually, we are going to do that. So after the email address, we want to check the idea. So what's the big idea for the hackathon? And what we could do here, right at the beginning, is say if user email is valid. So if this variable exists, we go to idea. So let's say the user starts filling in the form, the chat, start answering to the chatbots, and then leaves. If he comes back, you want him to go back to where I stopped, really. So we can send him straight to the idea checkpoint. So what's your idea? Here we can, well, you know what, actually, we are going to show a video. So I'm going to go on YouTube, and I'm going to show how to come up with a great startup idea. I'm going to take that. I'm going to copy the URL. Check if I didn't mess up. Yeah, okay. I'm going to copy the URL, and I'm going to say, I'm going to call a component which is called video. And I'm going to paste the YouTube link into the video component. And I'm going to say here is a great resource to come up with a great idea. So what's your idea? Okay. And we hold again. So the chatbot waits for the user to answer. And the chatbot will remember again what the user says. So it will say, remember, user idea equal events. After that, we'll want to ask the user his photo, and that's it. After we'll just save it to Airtable. So we are going to say go to photo. We create a step photo. So photo. Say, can you please send me a photo of yourself. We will again hold. And here, so that doesn't work on all channels. Some channels, some communication channels like Facebook Workplace, Messenger, allow the user to upload files, and some channels don't. We have our own channels. So what you see on the right is a communication channel, and we allow the file upload. So at this point, if a user upload a photo, it will upload the photo, the file to our servers, and we return to the CSML the address. So here we're going to say remember photo equal event. And just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to say photo. If I say build and run, I already got the user email, so it's going to go straight to IDEA. Okay, so as you can see, it's going straight to IDEA here. Here is a great resource to come up with a cool idea. You can obviously watch the video. It's not really the point of the workshop, so I'm not going to do that. And then you can say my idea is a really cool chatbot. I'm going to send a photo. I'm just going to send that. It doesn't matter. Okay, and you can see that here I'm actually printing the photo, which is the input, and that will be the picture that I just, the file that I just sent. Okay, so we remove that. Once we've done that, we want to save everything. So we are going to go to save, and we want to save that. So to be able to save that, I'm going to be quick because I got 10 minutes left. I created a connector to Airtable. So the Airtable API is quite nice. It's described over here. And here you got create a records, and that's how you create a record. So that's curl, and that's a JavaScript. Okay. And one way to do it is to create a custom function in pretty much any language you want and bind it in the CSML. So to do so, you go to the little F here, which is for function. You can add a custom function. You can name your function. So I'm going to name it Airtable. And then you need to tell the CSML where it's supposed to get in. For instance, when you execute a C program, it will go to the main function. The runtime, are we on Node, Java, Python, .NET, Go, Ruby? And the arguments. Okay, I'm going to quickly show you the function. So that's the function that I created. So it's a very, very, very short function that uses request, which is a package of Node. So it is it's a Node.js function. And here I'm actually just using what the API documentation showed me. So it's a post request, and those are the headers, and I need an API key that I already got, and those are the fields to my form. Okay, so and this function will this function will be binded to CSML, and whenever I call it from CSML, I can inject those fields. So the function gets the fields from CSML and send them to our table. So email from campus IDEA photo. So I'm going to say email from this idea photo. And there is also an environment variable. So I'm going to put it so it's safe. I don't want to put my API key in the code. That's very unsafe. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get my API key, which is over here. I'm going to write it over there. Okay. And then I'm going to upload my function. And I need to zip it beforehand. So I'm going to fetch it over here. It's going to upload it, submit. Okay. And then I can test it here. So I can actually send parameters to my function. So we are going to do it. So just for the sake of being quick, I'm just going to copy and paste this. I'm just going to send those parameters. But it needs to be JSON. It needs to be JSON compliant. And those to be string. I'm just going to send that as string. Just for the sake of checking if it works. Okay, that looks right. Okay, so records, it created a record, and if I go here, I can see that it created a record with the strings I just sent. Now going back to my CSML chatbots, here I want to save everything, so I'm going to use the keyword do to execute. Do airtable equal. I'm going to call it response equal, and I'm going to call my function. The campus will be user campus. Oops. User campus. Email will be user email. The from will be is from. And the photo will be photo. And we save. All right, so it looks kind of right, and I'm just going to say all good, thanks. Right, so that looks pretty good actually. Okay, so there is an error. So line 62. Invalid arguments. Did I mess up something? Yeah, I did miss. I messed it up. User idea. I forgot something. So I don't know if you can see that we got some. So I got a warning down here. So I can't compile because the code cannot compile because there is a syntax error. Oops. Build and run. So this time it compiled. So again, I'm going straight to idea because I filled everything in before. So this little line here sends me to go to idea. Notice that we can either add braces, or if it's a one-liner, one-liner instruction, we can just remove the braces. So I can just do that. Very much like other languages like Node.js. So what's your startup idea? A very cool chatbot. And can you please send me a photo of yourself? So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to send this. All right, and hopefully it will send everything to Airtable and reply if I didn't mess it up. Okay. Well, actually, that's it. So here we got the chatbot that sent everything to Airtable. It sends my email address, where I'm from, so I'm an alumni, my campus, my idea, and the photo that I just sent. So that's a photo that I uploaded. And that's chatbots, very quick chatbots. So that's only 63, 64 lines of code. And these chatbots could be much longer, obviously. You could do stuff like, putting more milestones. You could actually create also functions that would do some sentiment analysis, for instance. We got some ready-to-use apps for that. So if you go to apps, and we got a bunch of apps. We got Amazon Comprehends. We got DeepL for translations. We got Jiffy for the fun. We got stuff like SAP conversational AI. It was recast.ai before. We got a bunch of, and we got Zapier as well. For you guys who like Zapier, who like automation, we got Zapier. So you can create a webhook on Zapier and call this webhook from CSML. So what it looks like is this. So you just need your API key, and then if you write that down into a CSML program, replacing name by your Zapier webhook, and passing on the data you want to pass, it will be like a straight automation. So to install this Zapier function, you just click install, and then you will find it into your functions. Okay. Is it possible to enable disable screen reads with CSML command? So I guess you are referring to that. So once you created your chatbot, you can deploy it. You can deploy it to a bunch of channels, and you can deploy it to a channel which is called web app, which is our own channels that we developed. And if you give it a name, cool chatbots, click on submit. You can access your chatbot from this URL, and you can actually change the logo here. You can change a lot of stuff. And if you access this chatbot here, it will look like that, and you get the whole chatbot experience here. What you're referring to, I guess, is this. Now you cannot disable that because it's an option, and it's an option for disabled people. But I wouldn't advise you to use it because it really relies on your browser. So it's not consistent throughout browsers because you need the browser to be able to handle it. Everything I've done during those 45 minutes will be uploaded to pushed to GitHub on a repository, and we'll post that on the Discord channel, so you can find it, and also so you can import it. So if you want to import what I've done, you can do that. Although you will need some sort of Airtable account and API key, obviously, because I can't give you my API key. Do you have any more questions regarding CSML and how to use it? I haven't told you, but yeah, there is one more thing. You can also add files. So if you add a file here, and let's say you want to add this file, you can add it here, and then you can, so we provide hosting as well. So if you want to add it here, you just say files. So you right click, files, select the file, and I'm just going to write here go to end, so we stop the conversation. We don't go through the whole conversation again. And if you build and run, it will actually display the image that we just hosted for you. So you don't need to rent a VPS or whatever. Do you have any more questions? Any options to reset some information automatically after some time? Yes. So because it's code, and because you can actually run any code you want, you can do pretty much anything you want. Now the question would be, is it quick to do it? It's not really quick, but you can do it. So if you go to our GitHub, over here, there is a repository. There are actually functions that you can import. And there is this function here, Unix timestamp. And if you import this function in CSML, following obviously those guidelines, or those settings, you can actually get the timestamp at a precise point. So once you get a timestamp, you can just well, it's a timestamp, so you can say stuff like if my timestamp 1 minus my timestamp 2 inferior to I don't know, like 1,000, or actually 36,000. That makes more sense. Then I want to reset everything. So remember my var equal null. I don't know if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense to you, just come see me on Slack and I will explain you how to do it. It's fairly simple. Are you waiting for a fully finished chatbot, or an architecture plus product roadmap is enough for the price? Well, we are not expecting anybody to give something that is fully functional, because it's actually very counterproductive. We are aware that the point of the hackathon is to prove it's actually to prove a point. It's actually to prove a point, proving the point that your product is actually a game changer. So for your product to be a game changer, you don't need to have a very perfect chatbot. You need to have a chatbot that solves a pain point, to solve the problem. And to solve a problem, you don't need a massive chatbot. Obviously, it will be much nicer if your chatbot doesn't ask a question and give just a single answer. It would be nice if it's something with a conversation, and but bear in mind that the point is to solve a problem. Okay, so I think we overlapped a little bit, so it's 2:20. If you have any more questions, please come to our Slack. To come on Slack, you go on csml.dev, and down the bottom, you can access Slack over here. Please do, because we answer on Slack very, very, very fast, because they are the whole team. The whole team is on Slack. I am on Discord, and so is the CTO. But if you go to Slack, we got other people there. So it will be much faster. Okay, well, thank you very much for your attention. It was really cool, and I see you around, and which way we have to present our solution? That's the same way you actually present your. Well, we obviously will need a demonstration, but we would love to see the way you present your the way you presented your project for the other prices. Only that we will need more of a demonstration of it, and we'll probably get into into technical questions. Not very technical, but we want to know, like, do you understand what you wrote? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed this live coding session. I only had one single bug, so it's a win for me. And I will send you all the information about what I wrote shortly. All right, thanks a lot.